Welcome, my beautiful souls, for another episode of the Sacred Roots podcast. I'm quite excited because today I have Maria Johanna with me. And so the whole story of how we met and how this recording came alive is a really fun story that we're going to share with you. And also it's really fun because this is the first time that I'm actually interviewing someone live. I always interview people, behind my laptop with Zoom, and now we're doing it with Zoom, but live together.
Yes.
So that's really fun. So Maria, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone that's listening?
Yeah. So my name is Maria Johanna, and I work with plant medicines. I've been guiding and organizing ayahuasca retreats for more than 5 years. That has been very important to me. And then in a dieta, I saw that I had to change my path. I had to let go of everything and go to Bali. And then the pandemic hit, but I felt incomplete without the plant medicines. And then I started a website. It's called houseofoneness.com. And there I started first to share chocolates with also the ayahuasca spirit in it, but only the capi plant, so not the DMT, to ship it to people's homes while they were in lockdowns. And I was teaching them how to set up their own home ceremony. So I'm doing also a lot of webinars, but I also made an online course and an ebook. It's still there. And yeah, from there on, all things came to me, and it's mainly microdosing products that I ship to. So that's always my passion. It's maybe my deepest passion is to wake people up, but also to heal people and to open people's hearts with the plant medicines. So that's really my passion. And there's a lot more, but this is the main thing that my focus is. Yeah,
I love it. What does it mean to you, wake people up?
Yeah, for me, the awakening, the spiritual awakening, means that you have an experience to be one with everything. And that's kind of a reset in your system, that if you've had this experience, and that's kind of in the other side, you're out of your body and all the concepts of the earthly life are gone, then you have a realization, the self-realization. And after that self-realization, you're a different person because you know kind of the truth. That's why it's also my company is called House of Oneness, because that oneness experience for me, that was a huge game changer, or a rebirth. It was, yeah.
I think that the two of us were also really big into surrendering.
Yeah.
And you've kind of already shared that, saying you were doing something and then you had guidance during your dieta.
Yeah.
And then you surrendered to that and you set yourself on a new path. And I think the story of how we met is also a beautiful example of surrendering and being in flow.
Yeah.
So I want to share that with everyone that's listening, because I think it's such a beautiful example. So for those of you who are listening, I actually found Maria Johanna on Instagram. I don't know, I think it was 3-4 years ago, because I was doing a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies at the time. And I was using plant medicine a lot because that's what I needed. And I think it can be a really powerful tool, especially at the beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
Now I don't use it anymore because I'm further along and I actually can connect with the DMT within my body.
I understand.
And I don't feel called to do it anymore, but it's I love it. I've had such beautiful experiences. And you were doing ceremonies at the time in Amsterdam. And I'm from Belgium, from Brussels. So I was like, oh, that's fun. We're neighbors. I don't know many people who do ayahuasca ceremonies. Usually you have to go to the Amazon, and then you were actually bringing the shamans from the Amazon to Amsterdam, to your house.
Yeah.
So I was very intrigued by everything that you were doing. And then life goes on. I see that you do that dieta, that you move into microdosing, cacao, and all of that. And I remember that I saw that you went to Bali, and I was like, oh, Bali has been calling me too. And then here we are. I actually moved to Bali. I'm on the bike. I go and I drop Benji. And for once, I feel like not taking the same path that I usually take to go home. And I'm like, I also really want to cut my hair today. And so I go to the hairdresser and they say, oh, no, sorry, we're not open yet. It's only 9 a.m. The hairdresser guy arrives at 10. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back at 10. I'll just go home, pick up my phone, my book, my things, so I can go on for my day. And I don't take the usual drive home. I drive in front of that really nice restaurant Woods, and I see you walk and get into the restaurant. I'm like, this is Maria Johanna. I recognize her. This is so funny.
Yes.
How on earth, like, what were the chances that I would actually see you? You had no idea who I was. And obviously just a stranger following you on social media. And I was like, I'm just going to go and say hi, and then let's see what comes out of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I had to time because I had to wait for the hairdresser.
Mm-hmm.
So I parked. I walked to you at the restaurant. You were like, who's this stranger walking to me?
Oh, who's she? I don't remember. She's coming closer. Oh,
I guess you're going to talk to me now. And then basically we had a really nice conversation. And then here we are recording this podcast. Mm-hmm. So I love it because I think it's such a beautiful example of how flow works, of how your intuition works. Mm-hmm. Because if I hadn't decided that day to go and cut my hair, to take that appointment, to take another road than the one I usually take, we would have never met. And then who knows what's going to come out of this? Maybe it's just a podcast episode.
Yeah.
Maybe there will be more things.
Yes.
Can you share a story of surrendering where you just followed your intuition, you went with the flow, and it completely changed your life?
So many times. Yeah.
I love that.
And this is also why I love plant medicine so much, because they are a great teacher for also one, to be in the present moment, but also to surrender to what is. But the biggest change that happened to me after ayahuasca, and that I was like very green into spirituality, but the plants kept on telling me, your name is Maria. But I was using my calling name, Mariette. Maybe you know this name in Belgium, Mariette.
I've heard it in Flemish.
I found the roots in India, surprisingly.
Okay.
I also was like, wow, okay. But my calling name was Mariette. This is not in the system, this name, but it's just on my birth. Yeah, like they decided to call me Mariette. And in the ayahuasca, it's like, yo Maria. And it kept on going. Even when the ceremony was done, I had to drive home after this certain ayahuasca ceremony. And then the plants kept on telling me, yo Maria, and if you don't carry your real name, you will never live your true potential.
Yeah, because names have vibrations.
Yeah. So in this way, it was a rebirth, because eventually I changed my name, and that changed everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I also moved to Bali. This was back in 2014. I've never been in Bali, but I just felt, yes, like I'm going to Bali. And also from that moment on, I just knew things like, this is it. And then things happened to me. So I think for me, before spiritual awakening and after, first I was more thinking, what do I want? And now it's more like, okay, life, tell me, what do you want me to do? How can I serve this human
Show
game?
me the way.
Yeah, show me the way. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you know that, so I'm very connected to ancient Egypt, Mary Magdalene, Isis, Hathor, and all of those energies, very divine feminine energies. And when you actually look back to ancient Egypt, Mary was a title.
Oh.
It's not a name. And that's why you have so many Marys actually around Jesus. You have the Virgin Mary, Mary Magdalene, and then Mary of Cleophas, because Mary is a title. It's a title that means the beloved. And goddess Isis and goddess Hathor were really often called Mary Isis, Mary Hathor, because it was the beloved. And so it's the one that acts as a bridge between the earth and the divine, and is the beloved of the god or the goddess, whatever you call it. And so it's really interesting that you had to use that name to really step into your spiritual leadership.
Yes, definitely.
Because it's a priestess title.
Oh, I didn't know that. But my second name in my passport is Johanna. So then I put Maria Johanna, not realizing that it's almost marijuana.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Another plant medicine. Yeah. And then I was talking on YouTube because I thought like people have to know about these plant medicines. And also it was my coming out, like, hey, everyone knows me as Mariette, but from now on, I would like to ask you to call me Maria. My name is Maria Johanna. And then I had the comments, oh, marijuana. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
Yes. Yeah, because these names were actually for my sister. She's 1.5 years older. And back in the time we had no cell phones. My father went to the government to put her in the system.
Register her.
Yes.
Her birth.
And her name is Michelle, and she would have the names Maria from my mother, Johanna from my grandmother, and then Katrina from my other grandmother. But my father forgot. Yeah, he forgot. It was his first child. And then my mother was like, oh, like you forgot the names of our first child. But then I came and I took the names.
That's so good.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because from a shamanic perspective, our grandmothers, especially the mother of your mother, so like the matrilineal lineage, your grandmother has guidance to give you for your soul path, for your purpose on earth. And so the fact that her name was Johanna, and that you had to take on that name so that together it could make Maria Johanna, Marijuana. I'm helping you connect with yourself and connect with the divine. It's so beautiful because there's like really, it was all meant to be.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
So it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And Johanna, I never met her. But yeah, if you're familiar to plant medicines, you know that everything is consciousness and you can also meet spirits. Yeah. So I met my grandmother only in spirit. Johanna. Yeah.
And do you often feel her in your life, that she's guiding you?
A lot of family members, like my nieces, feel her or see her or she speaks to them. I never had that really like they have. They don't see themselves as that spiritual as I represent myself, I guess. But yeah, no, she is definitely somewhere in consciousness in our whole family.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
The name of my grandmother is Mary Rose. So also Mary. And then Rose, the rose is the symbol of the divine feminine. Right?
Yeah.
And of like the feminine path. And Mary Magdalene is often represented as the rose, the connection with the womb, our lips also look like roses.
Yes.
And so it was all like meant to be as well that I'm doing this kind of work.
Yeah, no, yeah.
With Mary Rose as a grandmother.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I'm immediately thinking in plant medicines because at the moment I'm developing a self-love package with special chocolates. They look also really beautiful. And we put Marosa in it. Marosa is a master plant, and this is all about love life, healing childhood trauma, about abandonment or abusement or rejection. So Marosa is also the plant, the master plant in the jungle that represents healing the heart and your love life. So it's beautiful also.
And you know what's really funny? This episode is going to come out on Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Self-love day.
Okay, that's amazing because my packages are like, it's a limited edition. I did it last year too. So it's only available like, I have 50 packages. I'm not sure if I'm sold out on Valentine's Day. But then after, and this is something my followers don't know yet, I'm going to sell the chocolate separately. And this is just for microdosing, or you can also warm it up and drink the cacao with Marosa. Ayahuasca is there also in like the capi plants, and there are pink roses in it.
Oh, wow.
And ceremonial cacao. Yeah.
So tell us more about that. So you were doing ayahuasca ceremonies, then you moved into doing cacao ceremony, working with the chocolates. What is your experience of the chocolate, and why did you decide to like focus on that so much and adding this energy of the roses and all of that? Tell us about that.
That's a beautiful question because actually we spoke already about that. It's never been my decision. It just happened. It just happened to be. And for me, it's like amazing to discover more plants. First, I was focused on ayahuasca, and also my path was like developing ayahuasca with this plants, that plants. I know how to cook ayahuasca. So there was also a whole path to learn to cook, and that it came to me. And I would say at the end of my path with ayahuasca, I really mastered the greatest ayahuasca with like a sweet smell and for how far you can say a good taste.
Yeah.
I mean, like a sweetness. but then I call it Choco Bliss. I made it my own brand. It just came to me, but from there on, then the truffles came to me for microdosing, and that's a very easy product because that's legal, like in Europe, not outside Europe. But and then a shaman from Colombia came on my path, and very slowly we just start to develop different projects because products. He can work with any plant medicines, and then I'm all the time like, I'm going into this plant medicine, I'm going to that plant medicine. And there's also a lot of products that we never put on the market because it's also confusing to people when I am having so many things to bring.
Much choice, kills
yes,
choice.
Actually it is. But my path is like, oh my God, I'm now into blue lotus, for example. Now I'm into the mushrooms. Now I'm into this mushroom, that mushroom, or like, that's my passion. And that's kind of being a shaman. I say sometimes I'm an urban shaman because how can a white woman be a shaman? If you've been traveling with plant medicines, you can also know that it's not only about this life path. Like it's with your rational mind, it's very strange that I'm walking this path. But when I'm connecting with my soul, it's just so natural.
What's coming to me when you're talking about all of that is how you are actually helping people reconnect with the earth as well. Through the medicine that the earth brings us, and how that helps us connect with ourselves, obviously. And I don't know if you've heard about the lineages of the green witches.
No.
So the green witches, it's a whole lineage from Europe mostly, and they were herbalists, and they were using the plants to have psychedelic experiences. To actually, do you know why we always see witches with a broomstick?
Tell me.
Okay. So a lot of witches, they were medicine women, they were herbalists, they knew about pharmaceutics and plant medicine. And they knew that certain plants had psychedelic effects, and that if you ate them, you would actually get sick and potentially it could kill you. But if you were using them with oils and blending them with oils and putting them on your skin, you would ingest them differently through your skin, not through your stomach. And you would just have a spiritual experience. And so they would create these oils that were called the flying oils. But they also knew that what part of your body is the most sensitive to take in oils? It's your vulva and your lips and your vagina. And so they would use sticks, put these oils on your sticks and then into their vagina. And they would have spiritual, psychedelic, visionary experiences thanks to that. And that's why we see the witches on the broomstick.
Oh my God. I did not know that.
But of course, nobody knows that because it's a bit, you don't tell that to a child.
Where can I find those sticks?
So maybe, you're evolving to becoming a green witch, and who knows?
Would not surprise me.
So that's funny. So tell us a little bit about cacao, because my experience with cacao is how big of a heart opener it is. It's very grounding, very heart opening. And that is so important when you are seeking guidance for your path and trying to connect with your soul. Can you share about your experience with that, how it helped you on your path, and why you've decided to add the petals or the spirit of ayahuasca to your chocolates, etc.?
I have different products with cacao. So the Choco Bliss, that's really for an inner journey, like deep psychedelic. And the spirit of ayahuasca is also in there. But I also have just ceremonial cacao to drink, for example, daily. I'm developing several different cacaos, but at the moment I have one beautiful cacao made by a shaman from Colombia. And what it does for me is that it connects me with my heart, yes, and that it connects me also deeper emotionally. So it gives me the push to really live my truth, because I think life is always challenging us again and again as we move forward, and then we can still have this challenge like, okay, what is life asking me? Like my mind says this, but my heart says that. And then the cacao for me is that little push to really live
into your heart.
Yes. Yeah. And live your truth. Heart. So also make the decisions from your heart. Yes.
I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about the process that the shaman is going through when he's creating the cacao? Because it's not just chocolate that you eat, it's ceremonial cacao.
Yeah. So they get the beans from Colombia. For us, it's a Criollo bean. And yeah, what I've heard from them is more rare. And it's funny because first I was not in cacao. And also when I was launching my first cacao, I was living here during the pandemic. It was hard to travel. So I didn't taste my own cacao, but they were shipping it to Bali. It took 2 months. So before I launched it, I didn't taste my own cacao. And then I tasted it. I was like, wow, this is the best taste. And now that I taste other cacaos, I'm like, I only want my own. Yeah. So, but yeah, how they make it. So they have the beans, the cacao beans that also grows here in Bali, but we have the ones from Colombia. And then they roast it for 1 day. Oh, they cleanse it, but also my cacao is organic. And when you have an organic cacao, it's very strict rules on how you work. Yeah, I don't know every detail, to be honest. I only see the beans. I've seen the beans. I've been in there. It's kind of a laboratory how they work. Yeah. I know the machines. I've seen the cacao in the machines. I've seen putting in the cacao into the malls. Yeah. But I know that it takes 3 days. It's roostering, cleansing, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, the whole technical process.
No, yeah.
Is there a spiritual step where they add gratitude, prayers into it?
Yeah, but that's so natural for them.
Yeah.
So it's not even a question. I think when you create medicine, it's just naturally happening. So that's a memory in your body or a habit that you make.
It's a way of living, actually.
Yeah. So yes, the music that I put on, the songs that I make, and because it's also an organic cacao, what I have, they are very strict with how clean they work. Yeah. And
so they sing songs when they work with the cacao? That's what you're saying? Oh, that's so good.
Yes.
Can you sing a song?
Oh my gosh. I have been singing in ceremonies, like full ceremonies. And then when I sing like this, I'm very insecure and I think I cannot sing. But when in ceremony, I'm like, boom, putting my voice out.
It's different.
And then last year when I was living here, I started also to play the guitar and start to take singing classes. But yeah, I would say no.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. That's all right. It's all good. Nice. I love that they put songs because with the ayahuasca, the real medicine is actually the shaman. And some shamans also say the real medicine is the songs that actually come from the plant, the Icaros song.
Yes.
And yes, you're taking the tea and you're drinking it and you're having a physical response to it. But songs are vibrations that impact us as well. And it's true that in my experience, the songs were as much part of the journey, if not more,
definitely,
than actually the plant medicine herself.
Yeah, it is as if you cook, you put it like you make the package like into like the present, like a present, and then in the ceremony you take it out again. Yeah. The energy is very important when you make the medicines.
Yeah, I love that. And so how are you envisioning for cacao in the world? Because cacao is really something that is becoming popular and trendy. We said how it can connect you with your heart and help you live your truth. How would you love to see cacao evolve in the world?
That's a beautiful question. So also the shaman that I'm working with, he grew up and he couldn't leave his house without drinking his cacao. So that would be also amazing if he would grow up with cacao, for example, that everyone is like, it's a habit. I think that would be amazing. But I also have myself, like sometimes I feel the cacao for a period of time and then I don't feel it. So it's a great teacher to be more in touch with your intuition and to live more from the heart. And because I love that so much, that's also one reason why I love Bali so much and living here. because here people are more in their hearts than in their heads. And I think cacao is a great tool, very simple, that you can use daily for and health benefits and for spirituality and emotional growth. It's very easy to implement in everyday life. And you will have the reminder to take the time to do a prayer. But it's very simple, practical, easy to adapt and to take in as a habit into your life.
Yeah, it's a ritual.
Yeah.
And I think most shamans in Colombia, Guatemala, all those who work with cacao, like you, they don't start a day without taking their cacao.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really like part of their daily ritual, how to set yourself up for success for the day, drop into your heart, and then start living in the heart, which I love. Beautiful. So those little chocolates that you make, you said it has the spirit of ayahuasca in it.
I have to say, I don't make it myself.
Yeah, sorry, that the shaman
and
makes.
But it's also interesting to say. So sometimes I get comments like, "Hey, you are ruining the culture." And I don't have it very clearly on my website. On some pages I have, but the shamans always come to me. I never reach out to them. They come to me and they ask, like, they have this great talent to make these products. So also, for example, Habe, I think you're familiar with it. Yeah. This tribe came to me by Instagram, and they make these medicines and they want to also share this with the world. So they come to me to say, like, you can speak, you can.
I think they've received the guidance as well that the Western world needed their medicine.
Yeah. So I also.
So you're acting as a bridge between them and people like us who are desiring to have those experiences and work with those medicines.
Yeah. And I understand that I look very commercial. But
it's also your role in that relationship with them and us, right?
Yeah. And that's the outer world. And I understand that you see that at first hand, maybe, or certain people. But for me, it's so much deeper, my personal journey. And to bring this to the world, it's like an honor. And I'm very driven, and my drive, it's from within. It's not from my head. It just comes. And in this, then I'm going to say business. Because I do what I do, it's not always easy because the system is not supporting this. So I am thrown out from a lot of financial systems, because they say you're a high risk because you do something alternative. So we don't want you as a customer. So things like Stripe,
really?
Molly, I don't know if you know this. So they don't want me as a customer. So it's very challenging sometimes. Or now at the moment, DHL, they said, we don't want to ship your packages. And then I have one other option, but it's getting more and more difficult to ship my packages because people just, the company say you are high risk. And it's not, because it doesn't matter if it's legal or not legal. They just see me as a high risk company. And then they say, you're a threat and we can have, they just kick me out. Like, so it's not that easy, but I feel so driven, and I will always find a way to talk or bring the knowledge of the plant medicines to the people.
Thank you for adding that, because I think it is true. There is a whole conversation about how white people are promoting plant medicine from South America, Central America, and how we are then not respecting their culture or not honoring their culture. And we are taking advantage and just using it as savages. And thank you for specifying that, because you're just being a bridge and actually allowing those medicines to reach the heart of more people. And I think that we are in a huge spiritual awakening. People are wanting to be more connected to themselves, more connected. They are realizing there is something greater. There is life that is flowing, that is guiding you. And these magical things that happen, of like how we met, for example. And we also have to acknowledge that while there is this beautiful energy and awakening on the earth, there's also another energy.
Definitely.
That doesn't want this energy to expand. And
so,
you are experiencing that.
100%.
And it might be unconscious that DHL and Stripe are playing that role.
Now it's like, so I used to work with ayahuasca, and I had several times that, for example, how do you call the local government, the like when you have, for example, one village and there's a local government.
Okay.
I don't know the English word.
I don't know the name.
But yeah, they sent me a letter and they invited me on the office, and this is the Netherlands. It's so gentle. So they invited me with a letter and they gently asked me, hey, miss, we see that you're working with ayahuasca. Are you aware that this is illegal actually in our country? And we kindly ask you to stop. Yes. But it was, of course, yeah, I was a bit nervous going there, having this letter. And the last ceremonies, the local police knew me personally because it was a small village next to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And they also kindly rang my bell and said, hey, miss, yeah, they knew what I was doing. I knew that they knew also because I received an email with them like, hey, we see you're doing ayahuasca ceremonies in your house. I was like, police is sending me an email that I'm doing ayahuasca. Oh,
yeah.
But they just let me go on until one point. There was a case in the court because the whole thing why ayahuasca opened up in the Netherlands so much was because of the Santo Daime church.
Yeah, of course.
That was also my first ceremony because I had a boyfriend from Brazil. He was missing something from his country. He said, yeah, I missed something from my country. And he went to a church, and then it was the ayahuasca church, the Santo Daime church. He had his
I don't think everybody knows what Santo Daime is. Can you explain in a few words?
So Santo Daime has been very important on my path, but Santo Daime, it's a church from Brazil where they drink ayahuasca, but then in a bit of a different way as a holy sacrament in the church. So they pray to Jesus and all the things from the Bible. And they do the ceremonies in a church. And my first ceremony.
And they're standing as well, right? And they're singing the whole time.
Yes, you have different type of ceremonies. There's 3 different types. And then you also, some ceremonies are reaching out for Johannes or another person from the Bible. But you have the dancing ceremonies. They are like 12 hours standing. It's a very simple dance, like you dance with everyone together, but everyone is experienced with the ayahuasca. But ayahuasca is a bit different. So they use the chacruna and the capi plant, and they call it Rainha da Floresta, the capi plants. And then the women, because I've also done that, I've been in the communities there. I've been initiated as you call it a faitio, but I have the initiation to be a fadada.
Okay.
And that means witness of the truth.
Okay.
And their ceremonies are very different than a shamanic ritual. Have you been there?
No.
Oh,
I have some friends who have, and they told me about it. But
a lot of negative stories. Yes, a lot of negative stories, but there's also a positive side. And
so Santo Daime, it's a religion that comes from Brazil where they use ayahuasca in a church, and that is legal.
That's the question. So in the Netherlands, it was legal because if you do something related to your spiritual through your religion, then it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
And they say we use this as a holy sacrament, and then the government said, okay, you can go on, you can import it, because they make it in such a special way. You cannot make it on your own yourself at home. You have to do it with a whole community. And I've done that also. And they cook it like 12 times.
Oh, wow.
And they sing all the time. And also when you're in the forest, for example, the women, they take the leaves from Rainha da Floresta, from the chacruna, which contains the DMT. Yeah, wow, the way they do it is so beautiful. And they wash it again and again, and they do it with the whole village. But people are now more and more busy because they have to work, they have other responsibilities. But I was in this village and they have their own land that is protected. And
I would say that's how usually they do it. The shaman that I know is from Uruguay. And he told me the way they were doing ayahuasca was also with everybody, with the children, singing in community for hours and days, just letting it cook and simmer.
Yeah, and they ship it all around the globe. So they make a lot. Wow. It was 4 weeks, I guess, when I was there. It was all the time going on. When we left, I think it was not even done. Yeah, but not all shamans make it like this Santo Daime. Definitely not.
No, that's true. And I think that's a problem that happens with all trendy activities is that some people keep it traditional. They do it with their integrity, their love, and really because they want to spread the beauty of the medicine and they know it can help people. But there are also people who see the commercial, the financial aspect of it and who take advantage of it. And so that's hard with plant medicine because you have people who are not as heart-centered.
Yeah, it is happening, but I think it's almost impossible to not do this with your heart. But also about cooking ayahuasca so many times, like, for example, in the jungle, it's just that there's the plan, like cooking without singing, it's just, I don't know if it's wrong, but I've seen that more often. So for me, what I've seen in the jungle and with the Santo Daime, it's very different. And also what we do as Western people, like I would say my experience and from people that I know who cooked ayahuasca, you're all the time with the pot. Yeah.
It's very intentional.
Yeah. It's a ceremony by itself from 3 days long. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so for those who are listening and who are feeling cold, what would you say if they're hesitating and they're like, oh, I feel called to work with cacao, or maybe I feel called to work with ayahuasca? Who do you think cacao is for? And who do you think ayahuasca is for? Who do you think cacao is not for? Who do you think ayahuasca is not for?
Both of the spirits, they will call you and you will feel when you're ready. And even when it doesn't make sense, you think, I'm not even spiritual. Who am I to drink ayahuasca? When you feel like it, do it. And on the other hand, also when you think, oh, all my friends did it. Oh, my family did it. So I should do it.
Yeah.
No, it's not the right motivation. And as I said before, I also changed. Then this spirit is calling me, then that spirit is calling me. And I love to get to know all the different plant medicines. That's my path. So you will feel when you're ready. And yeah, there's not a rule per se, other than follow your own intuition.
I love that. The way ayahuasca called me, it was very interesting. So I was going through a divorce and I was like, I need a break from, being the story that everyone is telling on their Friday dinner, because it was like a pretty traumatic thing. And this friend of mine says, hey, Ele, we're doing this plant ceremony retreat in Nicaragua. She lives in Nicaragua. She's married to a Nicaraguan. And there's this shaman coming. There was supposed to be a yoga teacher, but she can't come. Do you want to come and teach yoga? And I was like, yeah, sure. I would love to escape Belgium for a while and take some time and go to the jungle in Nicaragua. Sounds dreamy.
Yeah.
And so she sends me the PDF with all the details and I see plant ceremonies. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, we're just going to have tea around the fire. Lovely, right?
Yes.
And I was not in the right headspace to go on Google and check what is ayahuasca.
Same.
I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I remember really well, I arrived at the retreat with my yoga mat, my backpack, really excited to just experience something else and get out of my house. And it was on day 3 that we were going to do the ayahuasca ceremony. And in the morning, people start talking about it. And I have some people who come to me. So are you nervous for tonight? So I was like, nervous? I should be nervous? What do you mean? Well, I don't know. It's ayahuasca. Have you ever done it? No. Do you know what to expect? No. I had absolutely no idea. I came with like really the naive little girl from Belgium that is just coming to teach yoga and is going to have the biggest spiritual experience of her life. And I had no idea what was waiting for me, which I think was better. It's the plant that was calling me. And so I was like, okay, well, now it's too late anyway, so I'm not going to look it up now. There was no Wi-Fi anyway. It's the middle of the jungle. And so I had the brilliant intuitive hit to sit next to the wife of the shaman. And so she had done a lot of ceremonies. And I'm really happy I did that because I needed a lot of help. Imagine I was just going through a divorce and a whole spiritual awakening. I had to spend 1 month in India doing yoga and meditation. And my experience was really intense because I had so much to release, but also so beautiful and so spiritual. And I remember at some point I saw my spirit guides and they were working on my heart and they said, relax, it's fine. We're healing your heart. And there was this diamond with all the colors of the rainbow that was
Yeah.
turning on top of my heart. And so I was really, really sick, but then I had pure bliss at the end. I also saw my grandmother and great-grandfather in that experience. But anyways, if people want to listen to my experience, I did a whole podcast on that. It was just to double down on what you were saying, how sometimes you don't even know that you need that experience, but it's the plant that is calling you and that is just showing up on your path. And that experience after that was so powerful and so healing for me that I did 7 ceremonies in the next 2 years. And then I felt, I think this is my last ceremony. And it didn't make sense because I had other opportunities. I kept being invited to go back to Nicaragua. I really created a bond with the shaman as well. And I mean, the people in Nicaragua are my close friends. And I didn't go back. It just didn't happen. COVID happened, or flights got canceled. There were other things, ceremonies in Belgium as well, where I could have gone, but then I became a mother, so it became more complicated. But I just knew that my time with ayahuasca was done.
Yeah.
And that's when cacao called me.
Yeah. It's kind of the same for me. Yeah.
So I saw everybody doing cacao. I was like, what's this thing? I don't even like hot chocolate anyway.
Yeah.
I never drink hot chocolate. And then I went to a festival and in Squamish, and we had cacao, and I saw how much it opened my heart. And I was like, wow, this medicine is beautiful. I came with so much judgment. Yeah. But again, the plant came to me. Yeah. And I love it. And now I use it quite often. And I love to start my day with it, especially in the past year, since I've become a mother, somehow maybe reconnecting with Mother Earth through the cacao. I don't know, there's something about that. I feel like the earth is calling me back through the cacao. And so it's very interesting because there as well, it's the cacao that came to me. Yeah. And then, I'm really excited to try your cacao that you've offered.
I would have taken it, but I forgot. But yeah, I have it in Bali. I have it in Bali, but yeah. Oh, but I thought one thing is very interesting, that you had no research before you stepped into your ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah. For me, the same. Then my younger sister, the same. Then my mother did ayahuasca, no research. Then my father and my older sister, none of us did research.
I love that.
Yes.
I think it comes back to what we were saying at the beginning, that life is about surrendering. Yeah. And trusting, and whatever you need is going to come on your path.
And also what you said. So, are you nervous for ayahuasca? Yeah, I was a bit nervous, even when I had no idea what to step into. But I wasn't scared. And you just surrendered. No. Yeah. I only saw, when I was organizing ayahuasca retreats, that it was an option to be scared. I said, I never thought about that it was an option to be afraid. And I see now, because I've been organizing so many ayahuasca ceremonies, but also now the medicines that I have now, people are so afraid about losing control. Yeah. And we said also that the change is to surrender to light instead of thinking how your life should be. It's
so important.
Yes. A very short example. I'm here now temporary in Bali, and everything is very expensive also. And I'm here for just six weeks. And I thought, where should I go? And everything is expensive. Oh, should I? And I thought, whatever.
Let's trust.
I just surrender. I don't want to plan ahead. Let's see. And maybe I'm going to be in Chango. Maybe I'm going to be on the islands. Maybe I'm going to be in Ubud. Maybe wherever. Yes.
You're going to follow the guidance.
Yeah.
And it's a whole other way of living once you start living like that. And it's much easier.
It's easier, but sometimes also confusing because, for example, first also I want to extend my stay, and then I couldn't change my flight. It's like, so I have to say short. But then I just sent an email to KLM, and then they said, you can change. Oh, okay, but I was a little bit like, sometimes you also look at your life, you think, oh no, I cannot go to Bali, or I cannot do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the world is not built for us to live in that flow, to live in the Kriya, to surrender, to follow the guidance.
The matrix.
The matrix is not built like that. So it's kind of like we're fighting with the system, quote unquote, trying to live in a whole other way.
Yeah.
But I feel that life also supports you once you start supporting life and honoring the movement of life. Because when we live in that surrendered state, we're dancing with life.
Yes.
And I feel like life really supports you when you start being like that. I mean, I'm passionate about the whole topic of surrendering. I'm actually writing a whole book. Spoiler alert, guys. I'm writing a whole book about it. I'm going to be teaching about it. I have just created a 4-month course because it is so life-changing. So I love that in our conversation, this came up. And of how much it changed our lives and allowed for things to be easier. Like you said, we surrendered to the plants calling us, whether it's ayahuasca or cacao. And there was no fear. We just allowed it to happen. And when you live in your heart and not in fear, you have a different experience.
Because I'm also a writer. I published one book, but I'm about to publish another book. And also now, like the biggest publisher, I think it's the biggest publisher from the Netherlands. I'm having a call with them tomorrow to publish a book about microdosing. I'm like, but publishing a book, I don't know about you, but it's so, for me, that is a bit scary.
Interesting. You're getting stuck in your head, maybe.
It's like, oh, now my book is like almost done and I have the book cover and the design and like, okay, I'm just one step. They just need to finish the design and I can, and
you're almost there.
But with my first book, I had the same, like, also when the writing was done, now I'm done writing. And now,
next?
I will call my mom. Hey, mom, I finished writing my book. Like, for me, that path is like putting me into some fear, especially because my next book is a Roman. I don't know if your books are also Romans.
No.
Oh, yeah. A Roman, it's so different. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm not afraid of writing a self-help book because that was my first, but Romans. And I have so many Romans in my head. So I feel like I really hope that life has this plan for me because I love to publish more and more and more. And I'm really a bit afraid of that.
I love it because somehow surrendering to that, it's also life inviting you to expand into this new identity. Of yes, I'm an author, but also I'm now writing romance. And so the fear is like an expansion opportunity for you.
This is my biggest fear, but also my biggest desire because I'm
amazing.
Like, oh, I have so many romans in my head. It has to be a success because then because now I'm, I think the cost, right, to write a book and then editing comes back and then
a big investment.
It's a big investment and then the design, everything, like
so exciting.
Yes.
And I saw your cover. You showed it to me in the title of the book. I think it can be a beautiful success.
Yes.
You have to take a leap of faith. Surrender.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. It was so fun to have you and have this conversation. Do you have one last message, one little golden nugget you want to share with our listeners?
So what helped me a lot is that you're also in plant medicine ceremonies, you are guided by a spirit. And you can see this all as a concept or an illusion. But it's all about feeling. And also when you have a ceremony, for example, and they say you have to break up, you have to quit your job, you have to change your life, you have to move to a place. It's all about checking in with your feelings and then trusting that. So during ceremony, you feel a clear guidance, but in your daily life, you also have this guidance. So trust that you have this guidance. Also, like, accept where you are now. No, you only have the present moment. This is also what I'm doing at my journey now in Bali. So that's why I said, like, it's my own thing. I'm talking to myself. Be present, accept what is, enjoy what is, and trust that this guidance will give you exactly what you need in the moment.
And it might not make sense in the moment, but it will make sense once all the dots connect. Thank you so much, Maria. It was such a pleasure to have you. So fun to do a live podcast as well.
Yes.
And for all of you, we are going to put the notes in the show notes of this episode. You'll find the links to connect with Maria on Instagram, maybe to get your book. We can always add the link after of your book when it's coming out. Your self-love program, your cacao, and all of that. So connect with Maria and her beautiful work on social media. And I will see you in the next episode.
Yes. Thank you for listening.